Hello, hello, my magical friends. It is Tuesday live chat. So welcome, welcome, welcome. 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on Tuesday. So how did we get so lucky? So welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, so what shall we chat about today? What do the animals, what would they like us to chat about today? And it's fun if I look back over maybe the last couple days or the last week with my clients, if there's a theme. When we were in the office and there was more of us working together, now I work out of my home and it's me with the client one-on-one, we'd always be like, oh, the theme of the day was, or everyone got the memo about, and it would be really funny how that energy would match. So today, hashtag shake a leg. I think four different clients are like, my dog's back leg, I think it was. Sometimes it's a front leg, but it's usually the back leg, is just shaking. And they're wondering what that could mean, okay? And it's actually, oh, by the way, hi, I'm Dr. Andy. For those of you who don't know me, I play with dogs and have for many, many years. I'm a doctor of chiropractic and a certified animal chiropractor. So everything here has a chiropractic point of view. And I'm not a veterinarian. You will hear me say it lots of times, go have a conversation with your veterinarian. We're not talking about diagnosing, prescribing, treating anything. This specifically, the shaking leg, is just what I've noticed over the years. And what my point of view about it is. Hello, Miss Keisha. And it happens a lot. And it's mostly senior dogs, but not always. And generally speaking, hi, she says, shaking legs are tight. Those muscles are tight. Louise is like, Hannah's shaking. Yes. Those are tight muscles, and tight muscles are weak muscles. I probably don't talk about that enough. Tight muscles are weak muscles. I'm going to say it one more time. Tight muscles are weak muscles. Okay, let's look at our bodies for a second. Let's say you have a pain in your back hurts. Yeah, you have some low back pain, and it's more on that right side, and you're kind of digging at it, and you can feel those muscles, and those muscles are rock hard, and there's a lot of pain. Those are tight muscles, so those are weak muscles. So you may have more pain and more issues on that side. So part of what you then work on is you go to the chiropractor, you get a massage, you relax those muscles. Then with those, you go to PT to strengthen them. And once you strengthen one side to equal the other side, let's say, for an example, the pain dissipates. You're able to stabilize the joint. Those tight muscles aren't as weak as they used to be. Riggy, babe, come here. You're not chewing on the bone here. Come on. Go. Take your bone. Sorry, folks. The Doberman picks the most interesting times to chew on his bone very, very loudly. And it was distracting to me, so he had to leave the room with his bone. So tight muscles are weak muscles. Now let's go to dogs. Now we can talk a little bit more about, Keisha's like, thanks for sharing. We can talk about two separate legs. And as much as you watch your animal, your dog, walk and run, and you see all four limbs moving, they all should be moving independently. And they actually should be moving on contralateral sides. You don't want one side of the body moving together. You want opposite sides moving. Okay. All those limbs are not moving the same. Most of our animals, my point of view, are right pod dominant. They're doing a lot more reaching with that right front, very similar to us, like we're right-handed. And that means if we had slow-mo, we could see them land that way. This side is tighter. It's just how it is. And if you ever have any work done, this is most likely a tighter side. Even though you use it more, that neurological information, that those pathways are really strong and you're going to use that right hand a lot more, it may be the one that is bothering you more if you're not stretching it out and you're not working it as equally as the other side. So the back end in a dog is going along for the ride with the front end. The front end has most of the weight and it's going along for the ride. Even though you see all four limbs moving, right? They're running all right. They're walking all right. I don't see anything going on. But the muscles are all being used differently. And with age, generally speaking, or with injury, let's say the left rear leg has a little less muscle mass on it. It's not painful, but they don't have as much weight over there. That right leg after that walk is now shaking. It's being overused. That's the compensatory side. It's tight. And now that it just went for a walk, it's weak and it's going to shake. So why do dogs' legs shake? Ours don't. I mean, they can, right? But we don't do as much of that as dogs do. And essentially, their nervous system is smaller than ours. Best way to put it. Like our femoral nerve that goes down our leg is huge. It's huge. So compressing one side of it, it takes a lot of compression to actually get signs and symptoms. Their femoral nerve is much smaller. Compression on that's going to elicit signs and symptoms much sooner. So muscles that are, this big, where our quads are this big, are going to shake more. They do more shaking in general than we do. We do not generally, unless there's a medical diagnosis with stuff, we don't generally stand around and have our legs just, you're standing on them and having them shake, right? It can happen, but it's not as common as with the dogs. And a lot of that is just their nerves are much smaller. They're being impacted sooner. So, shake and bacon, right? Hashtag shake a leg. It's really just tight muscles or weak muscles, and that muscle's been overworked. So how do we change that? Well, number one, get them adjusted. Let's get their pelvis back in order. Let's see what else is tight, because most likely the lumbar spine is going to be tight too, and we can get that adjusted and worked out. Go get a massage. Let's get in there and stretch it out. There's a lot of rehab, a lot of PT for puppy dogs. So maybe if we worked on balancing, so actually strengthening the leg that's not shaking to equal out the weight and be able to use those legs more equally, will eliminate the shaking on the side that's being overworked, is tired, and is tight. Other than that, I don't get excited about it. It does not indicate they are neurologic, which is a term your veterinarians like to use more encompassing than I do as a chiropractor, and that's fine. But it's not an indicator that they're going to have any more problems than that. With age, you'll see a lot of both of the back legs doing that, and then they're just globally weak. Along with that, you'll see sinking. They'll also start to sink in the rear. They're just so tight and so weak, they can't even hold themselves up. That's generally larger, long leg dogs. With age, you'll see that. You can start playing with, what does the shaking mean? If you only see it after you do a 5-mile hike, but not on your 3-mile afternoon neighborhood walk, okay, are you doing too much? you could start to gauge what is going to work for your animal that's more age appropriate. Okay, maybe we don't do 5-mile hikes all the time anymore, or maybe, and it's kind of funny. It's like, okay, so maybe we won't do that once a week, but if you go to every other week, they may be even more out of shape to do it. So what's a different hike? Is it just because we went up the hill? Because up the hill, up the stairs is the rear end. It's got to push to go up, right? Down the hill, down the stairs is front end, because all that weight goes forward. So I'll ask, which way are they having trouble on the stairs? Is it up or down? And sometimes I ask that question, even though I know which leg they're limping on, but sometimes they're limping up front, but they won't go up the stairs. So that actually indicates I need to look in the rear end more intensely. I really need to pay, maybe that limping up front is from the rear. Simply, if you have a younger dog, all of a sudden is starting to shake in the rear, that most likely is a bodywork issue. Maybe they played at the dog park too hard, maybe they got torqued, maybe that pelvis is rotated. It can indicate something that is very easy to eliminate and work with some body work. Your chiropractic, always my first choice, but I'm the chiropractor, right? Massage, combo of both. We had surgery. Maybe we had surgery on the front paw, but now we're getting shaking in the rear. That compensatory changes in the body are taxing some muscles that aren't used to it. Again, body work. Doesn't necessarily mean something is horribly wrong. It doesn't necessarily mean you've got to medicate the animal, but it can be indicating that something has shifted and changed and needs to be addressed. Senior dogs, I really don't get excited about it. Those are more your younger dogs when it kind of just shows up. I just had a little guy in yesterday, and that was a very new behavior, that one of his back legs was shaking. He was also pretty melancholy. And he was taking himself away from mom a little bit, and she didn't quote unquote know what he did, but the right rear leg that was shaking, his right SI joint on that side was restricted. He got mad at me because it was so painful to get it adjusted. And as soon as we adjusted it, he was like, he laid down, he started panting, he had a big smile, and it was like, oh, that's so much better. So when you do have that younger dog, it can be just an indication that, oh, time to get adjusted, time for that massage. If you're not doing anything regularly, which is always, let's see, the best. We don't want to judge it as the best, but if you're not doing anything regularly, it's time to get in for one of those appointments that you do yearly. Aw, Keisha's like, bless his little body. So that's kind of the skinny on the hashtag shake a leg. It can indicate something. It's weak muscles, overtaxed, weak muscles, vibrating. Now, that is a little different than the full body shake, right? The full body vibrate, right? And Keisha and I were talking about that a little bit this morning, and she's like, well, what do they do that for? Right? Well, that can be very numerous reasons. First and foremost, it's a great manipulation of their people. It can also indicate pain. It can indicate upset tummies. It can indicate all kinds of stuff. Sometimes I actually get the whole dog will start vibrating, what I call vibrating, after an adjustment, because the whole nervous system is doing a reset. That's pretty cool. Not a lot of dogs do that, but some do. Some do it all the time. Some do it, occasionally. But here we were just talking about one limb. The front are not as dramatic if they do some shaking. They tend to do more, I guess, buckling almost. I don't know. Do we want to go into this, or do we want to save it for next week? Because the back end doesn't have as much weight on it. So when the dog is young, Hi, Miss Sarah. They have 60% of their weight up front, 40% in the rear. That is ideal, okay? They're always front loaded. And as they age, and this is different for every dog's style, everything, they will move weight forward. Some dogs, by the time they leave these bodies, they'll have 80, 90% of their weight forward. And that back end is literally going for a ride. And a lot of them are not even aware that they have a butt end. Again, you're like, okay, I watch my dog go on walks every day. I watch them jump on the couch. I watch them run. How can they not know they have a butt? And actually, it's quite common that they don't really know where their, what I call their ass end is. If, you know, backing them up. How many dogs know how to back up and back up well? They're just not that aware of their rear end. And a simple way to put that is this information from their heads all the way to their butts, a long way to travel. And with age, that gets, it becomes a longer and longer trip, right? Or a slower and slower trip. But anyway, as they age, all this weight goes forward. So those front legs are planted pretty heavily, right? They have a lot of weight they're holding up. They have the rib cage, the head, and everything. So there's not a lot of space for them to even necessarily shake. The rear has a lot less. It's weighted less. They'll tip to one side or another. But if you're standing really heavy on them, it's hard to shake, right? So the back end's going to show that a lot more than the front end. The front end, again, mostly older dogs. But if this is occurring in your young dog, I invite you, highly invite you to go see a chiropractor. They'll start to trip up front, right? They won't get that front foot up and placed fast enough because tight muscles are weak muscles, and tight muscles have those nerves that travel through those tight muscles are going to have a harder time getting those impulses down to the foot and back up to the brain in a timely manner, hence the tripping. A lot of times vets get very concerned about that in the front end because that could be a sign of neurologic. Like the shaking in the rear doesn't necessarily indicate that they are neurologic at all. There's neurology involved. There's always neurology involved. There's always nerves involved. Neurologic is kind of a generic term that's thrown around, and maybe we need to do a whole live on what does neurologic actually mean in the vet world, what it means to me, because there's a big gamut in there too. But anyway, in the front, tripping with the old dogs, it's just tight muscles, weak nerve impulses. They don't get that foot flipped and placed fast enough, so there's more tripping. It's not as big of a deal if it's a corgi. But if you've got a Great Dane that's tripping and falling, and possibly if they're actually falling, I do encourage you to go see a chiropractor or your vet, because that may indicate there is actually a neurological issue. And when it affects the front, that indicates that you have a lesion. That's what they call it in medical terms. You have an owie, you have a boo-boo in the neurological system, either the disc, the cord, the brainstem, but you are super duper duper high in the cervical, the neck, like right behind the skull, like right where the back of the head meets the neck. That owie, that lesion has to be that high up to affect the front legs. Otherwise, you're looking at generally, and I said legs, and actually it'll impact all four limbs, and that can be a big deal. That's not what we're talking about here. That looks different, but if any of this is, you're thinking about it, and maybe you're thinking you need to get it looked at, maybe you do. Okay, and a chiropractic appointment is a great place to start for that. They're gonna know instantly, oh, this is muscle related, this is subluxation related. No, this is a bigger deal, and you can tell that pretty quickly just by watching I can tell pretty quickly just by watching the dog walk in. And then from there, there's much more that can be done, or you can choose to be done with that. But just be aware that front end is not going to shake like the back end does, just because there's so much weight on it. Okay. And the body's actually designed, dogs' bodies are designed to move that weight forward. So this is not necessarily a bad thing per se. I've actually even seen some dogs that, because they have an anatomical issue up front, they're not able to move as much weight forward as they would like with age, that the rear end actually has trouble. Again, get those animals adjusted. So a little bit of front end, why the back legs shake more. Hi, Amber. Any questions popping? This was quite chiropractic based, huh? Yeah, I'm kind of all over the place. Sometimes we look at this, sometimes we look at that. Anything popping in your worlds? Any questions on this? Any questions anywhere? Pop them in the comments below. And if you're not here live, you can still go ahead, pop in any questions, comments. Facebook does a pretty good job of letting me know that I need to respond to somebody. I'm not awesome by any means. And you can always fill out a form or find my email at my website, drandysworld.com, which, by the way, my magical friends, has just been redone, relaunched, and is beautiful. Miss Keisha is responsible for all of that, by the way. So check it out if you haven't been over there. We are, Keisha's like, I'm enjoying the slightly more chiro-orientated chat. Thank you. So, yeah, we can talk about limbs and muscles and joints here too. And how that can impact your animals. Any other questions, folks? Pop them in the comments, but check out the new website. It's beautiful. Yes, Louise. Pretty much any species. Our butts get skinny because we lose a lot of that muscle mass. We lose a lot of innervation to those muscles. We get weak. They get tight. Yeah, it's very similar process, honestly, between people and dogs. And instead of standing upright, they're just on all fours, really. I mean, there are different patterns and stuff, but it's a very similar process when you're talking joints and muscles and bones. And so if you're ever like, kind of what's going on here? Well, what's going on with grandma and grandpa? There's a lot of similarities there, just to give you an awareness. New website. Oh, yes. New time next week. We just changed things. I've had a conflict for the last month or so that I kind of need to, I guess, fix, for lack of a better term. So we're going to stay on Tuesdays. There's still going to be TLCs, Tuesday live chats, but they're going to go to 5:05 Mountain Standard Time. So we're going to go an hour later. But we're going to go back to the 5s. Because I really like, I'm weird. I really like those 5 minutes there. Kind of, oh, it's that time. I need to get on there. I need just a couple more minutes to pick out the most perfect filter ever, because they always change them. I'm kidding about that. But 5:05 next Tuesday, we're just changing it fast. We're, like he just said, we're ripping off the Band-Aid. I forgot to turn on my light today. I'm like, why am I not blinded? Here, let's see. Let's see the difference. It's a little more blinding on this end. Live on the 5s, like 5:05. Next week, we're bumping it. So if you can join me, I invite you. I adore you guys for tuning in every week. And then they'll always be posted to catch later. All right. No questions? Nothing? Nobody's got, anything out there? I covered it so perfectly. Not. Okay, that's next week. Check out the new website. You can always send me Anything you want to send me. You want to talk about this topic. You have this question. Don't want to put it here. Awesome. Aggie and Tia say hi. Yeah, no questions, huh? Awesome sauce, my magical friends. Okay, another TLC in the bag. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So grateful. Oh, we should talk about that visit. I still talk. Amber brought her kiddos up to see me, and we had a great evening. She brought me dinner, so you know I am easily bribed too. And all of the fur animals and the human children all had a great time. And oh my gosh, I was so proud of my Doberman. This was like the first boy dog in the house that he went, yo dude, and that was it. Not another thought. I was so proud of him. I'm like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I did give Aggie homework. Tell him a long time. Tell him get over it. We'll talk about the hair tie on another live. See, even Amber said Ricky was amazing. Ricky was amazing because Ricky has not let another boy dog in this house. Besides his usual pack. He was just delightful. And he even cuddled with Amber's human child. So maybe it's 5, maybe it's the frequency side effects, I don't know, but he was amazing. So might have been Amber in her pack's energy. Maybe. All right, my magical friends, until next week. Mwah! How much fun can you have with your animals? Bye-bye.